Right. So, as far as the analyst role itself is concerned, in context to SAP Ariba platform, because we all know, like business analysis is a kind of role which majorly focusing on understanding the requirements of the customer, subsequently to provide the solutions accordingly. That is what something being a business analyst we do. In the process, being a BA, when we are working on, especially in regard to the SAP Ariba itself is concerned, which is an part of business network, SAP business network, majorly to provide the premier solutions for B2B e-commerce or enhancing collaborations between buyers and suppliers, right? So all that stuff generally SAP Ariba is being used. Because as a BA, we need to have a functional knowledge over the SAP Ariba part, because now and then we could see a lot of opportunities from the SAP Ariba wherein we are getting in. So wherein majorly SAP Ariba majorly streamlines the procurement from sourcing to settlements. At the same time, it also fosters the robust supply chain relationships. At the same time, enabling any kind of business expansions through some efficient management of sales cycles or cash flows. Everything can be done using SAP Ariba. So when it comes to the context from the SAP Ariba point of view, because now and then, because most of the applications were moving towards cloud, as in when we know like SAP, this is a cloud application, this is a cloud-based business network, SAP's Ariba is. Majorly facilitates all the organizations in identifying and engaging with any kind of trading partners across the supply chains. At the same time, it also enable buyers and sellers to conduct any business by utilizing some cognitive technologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence, all that. Along with that, when it comes to the Ariba is concerned, it also streamlines and purchasing, contracting, and as well as invoicing, etc. Everything can be done using Ariba. Now, when it comes to the role of a business analyst, when we try to understand about Ariba itself is concerned, first of all, we must be knowing about few things, which I am going to explain you here, because there are major functions are there in context to the Ariba. As a business analyst, one must be knowing. So we must know what are the major functions we do. Okay, major functions we perform is something we need to know, right? So we must be knowing about what are the major functions do we have. So major functions of Ariba is concerned. Generally, we have four primary functions. The first one about purchasing. The first one is called uh, purchasing. Second one is called payrolling. The third one is called sales financing. Finally, last one about SCM, which is called supply chain management. We know these are the four major functionalities we see in context to the SAP Ariba. Primary four functionalities are right. So because purchasing majorly streamlines all the buying process and allowing businesses to automate and manage orders. At the same time, connecting with some suppliers, negotiating the cost. Everything comes under the purchasing part. When it comes to the payrolling, payroll majorly a primary functionality, majorly focuses on procurement and as well as supply chain solutions. Like payrolling refers to the managing and as well as processing employee salaries, wages, tax withholdings, record keeping, all that. When it comes to the sales financing is concerned, majorly useful to manage financial aspects of the sales, including credit management or invoice financing, or any kind of payment solutions to improve any kind of cash flows and sales lifecycle management. Everything comes under this category. When it comes to the supply chain management is concerned, as you know, right? So enhancing any kind of visibility of supply chain collaboration, uh, also by allowing any kind of businesses to manage, optimizing the supply chain operations. Everything will comes under this regard. So these are the four major functionalities essentially for SAP Ariba normally we use when it comes to the implementation as a business analyst. These functionalities are essentially required. The reason why I am explaining all these points to you. Now, if you are a business analyst, what kind of job responsibilities being a business analyst we need to perform? This is something one of the core and important element one to be noticed with. So there are different functionalities as far as uh, SAP Ariba is concerned. Let me write down. Yeah. So there are different functionalities we have as far as SAP Ariba itself is concerned. One is about the bridging the gaps. Right. So responsibilities of a business analyst role when it comes to the SAP Ariba as follows. This is something we must be knowing. So this is something which we should understand. This is what something which we must be knowing, right? So we should know about SAP Ariba. The first one about we need to bridge the gap between development and as well as business partners, wherein by defining and resolving any kind of project or system problems. As a business analyst, it's always important for us to analyze and as well as evaluate any kind of business requirements or any kind of alternatives, understanding complex systems or applications by interacting with different clients and as well as business stakeholders. Because we need to provide and propose some kind of finance solutions and as well as support any kind of acceptance testing or documenting any kind of software system requirements that we wants to be managed or working on some Ariba configurations. This is one of the key element because as a BA, when we are working on it, it's important for you to understand about the configuration process because configuration means wherein they are configuring SAP Ariba now from the old systems. That's where generally the migration process is going on now. So we should have some knowledge over the Ariba configuration that is required. Integration is partial. Integration is not something always required for a BA because configuration, wherein we need to understand the business rules, we need to understand the activity rules, expression rules, all that. So based on the business rules, whatever the logic to be developed, that will be developed by the BA. That is how something will happen. But when it comes to the uh, technical aspects are concerned, now and then some integration part because provided you are coming from the technical background, so integration understanding like API integration, that sort of knowledge is always required so that both configurations and integrations something but majorly I focus more on the configurations. That is what something majorly requires even. Configuration is one of the major area wherein we focuses more on that. And next, anyway, you know that, right? So interacting with some cross-functional teams or understanding about the technical areas, right? So these are all something needed as a BA when we are managing any kind of responsibilities in SAP Ariba. Next, when it comes to the application development point of view, we must be having some knowledge over the SDLC process. This is required even because we must be having some detailed understanding about software development lifecycle and what are the different models we are using, something like waterfall model, B model, agile. So this sort of understanding is required for you. Next, stakeholder management is also important, because understanding stakeholder requirements and providing business solutions for them. These are all some of the key and important aspects when we are performing. If you want to perform, these are all the major areas that we need to be performed, and we need to understand different test scenarios or the kind of test results reviews. If there is any kind of conflict resolutions do we have, or if you want to manage any kind of systems including any kind of agile methodology framework, something like Scrum, Kanban, right? So that those are all something comes from the point of SDLC models are concerned. Next, we must be knowing about the different modules of Ariba, because there are different modules in Ariba that we have, right? So from the point of upstream or downstream modules and all. So the first module is called sourcing. Sourcing. Okay, this is the first module which we must be knowing. Next, we must be knowing about the contracts. This is even required. This is also one of the key important element. Next one, we must have some knowledge over buying. Next, we must be having some knowledge over invoicing, etc. So these are the major modules we have in SAP Ariba. One is sourcing, second is contracts, third is about buyings, invoicing. Okay, this sort of understanding is required because when we are implementing Ariba projects, especially any implementation or if there is any kind of upgradation or rollouts or any kind of supporting and testing we are doing. So these are the major areas wherein we need to be focused more so that whatever the kind of ability to work on the configuration requirements or is there any kind of integrations, Ariba integrations and all. So for example, now and then is Ariba integrations we are doing with some ACC or S4 HANA systems or any kind of interactions that we had with any kind of business teams. So these are the common important elements one to be known with. These are all the responsibilities of a business analyst in SAP Ariba. One to be known, one to be understandable with. Next, technical knowledge is required. So I'll recommend a person having some technical knowledge is highly preferable to move on to SAP Ariba as a BA. Else, even if you want to transform our role as our role as a business analyst, learning BA is important. Apart from knowledge over the SAP Ariba, etc. Either it can be backend services, or it can be any kind of ETL process, or any kind of API or web services, or any kind of batch jobs that we have, or any notifications, or any kind of messages queues we are going to develop. So these are the common important aspects one to be known with. When it comes to the SAP Ariba is concerned, we need to focus more on these areas. So this is where generally the role of a business analyst from the SAP Ariba point of view, especially when we are going to provide any kind of solutions and all, this is something which we need to know apart from the functions that I mentioned, like purchasing, payrolling, sales financing, SCM. These are the aspects one to be known with. Okay, so first let's discuss with purchasing, right? So how these purchasing functions are concerned that I'm going to discuss with you in tomorrow's session.